there! Have you subscribed to our channel yet? Invite your friends and search for CSLGH.
good evening. Welcome to the Granada Hills Center for Spiritual Living. We are a center who honors all who are on their spiritual pathway, who practice their beliefs in love. Welcome those on the live stream tonight. As we do with every Wednesday night, everything at the church, we start out with our call to service, which is called Lighting the Flames of Faith. We perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from that one great universal presence, which we call spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. As Andrea lights the first candle, it is for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the second candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the third candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light the sixth candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the ninth candle for all forms of New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. We light the 10th candle for those who are as yet unaware of the power and presence of spirit in their lives, and for the space we hold for them at this center and in our hearts. And as Andrea lights the healing candle, please put silently into the light the names of anyone you wish to have experience the healing flame of God's eternal love.
I'm thankful, so grateful. I'm one with the Spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God. I surrender. I surrender. I'm one with the Spirit all around me. I surrender. I surrender. I trust in God.
And so how very to know that this infinite intelligence is everywhere expressing. It is life itself. I recognize it as such. And because I know that it is everywhere expressing as life, I know that it's right here expressing as my life, as the life of each individual here, each individual joining us on the live stream. How grateful I am. how very grateful I am to know that this sacred gathering is in fact a divine idea in the mind of God. And so I bless each of us here, knowing that that infinite intelligence has drawn us together, that this is the perfect combination of open-hearted, open-minded individuals who have come together to share their understanding of this wonderful teaching that we call the science of mind and spirit. And so I know this time together is good and very good. I'm grateful for it. And I just lovingly release this word to that aspect of God known as law, which always and only says yes. So I know it is done. I know it is so. And in agreement, we simply affirm this together by saying,
And so it is.
And so it is. Amen. Oh, hi, everybody. So I'm going to share some announcements with you. Is that right, Maureen?
Yes.
Okay. So practitioners are available if you'd like a 2-minute affirmative prayer. We ask that, the same as the Sunday announcements,
Yes.
that all cell phones be turned off while we're having this sacred gathering. I need to turn mine off too. We have reopened the Raise the Roof fundraiser, and we're grateful for everyone who has participated and thank those in advance who wish to donate. We're seeking additional funds to complete a more extensive roof repair. So if you're interested in assisting us with getting the roof funds allocated correctly, please make your donations separate from the donations that go straight to the church. Those are designated funds that go directly to the roof repair. Wednesday, August 12th at 7 o'clock is the Get Real and Heal meditation. And I believe Vinu Alag will be here in the sanctuary for a peaceful midweek reset. And I think that's it.
That's it.
Yes.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Carrie, thank you for bringing Kevin along. Yes. Nice to see you, James, and everybody here tonight. For those who may not know Andrea, you may have been under a rock if you didn't know her. Andrea is one of our licensed practitioners, prayer practitioners at our center, and often has been a guest speaker on Sunday mornings while we've gone through the process of selecting a new minister for our center, which we did last Sunday. And the new minister is Reverend Carlton Thibault. Yes. So we are looking forward to having him full-time, on a full-time basis, and looking to see what new energy he brings to our church. We're very fortunate. We had wonderful candidates. We did, yeah. So tonight, rather than operating off the book, Living the Science of Mind, as I told everybody at the beginning, the books are all boxed up in the minister's office, and so I couldn't find the book. And then Andrea comes in and says, well, did you look in the bookstore? Well, no, I didn't. But I chose something I think is apropos for tonight. It's out of the Essential Ernest Holmes, who is the teacher of Science of Mind, the creator of Science of Mind. And he studied, the reason we do the Lighting the Flames of Faith is Ernest Holmes availed himself of every book that he could find on religions of the world. And he compiled something he called the Science of Mind, which is what we teach here at this center. And it's basically understanding a very simple premise. If we change our thinking, we can change our lives. And I know that sounds somewhat simplistic as I say it, because there's a whole lot more to it. Sometimes it's not so easy to change our thinking. We think it's a simple concept. But if we've developed a certain habit pattern over a long period of time, it's very difficult sometimes to release that thought pattern and to find, we never release any thought pattern because we have a subconscious mind, right? And it's the Akashic record of everything we've ever thought or said. So sometimes what it is it gets buried much deeper, and we think we've got it managed until we experience something that shows us it's still in there somewhere. And yet, the lows get higher of shorter duration and less frequency. So that's one of the things that you'll find as you express yourself in this teaching. And the way we do this on Wednesday night, if you've ever watched on live stream, you know you get to read if you want to. If you don't want to read, you don't have to read. If you don't want to talk, you don't have to talk. And yet, everybody talks. Everybody has something to say. So starting on this side with James, identify yourself as you go by so we can cement your names in our mind's eye. And because we're on live stream, people are going to hear
Okay.
you. Yes.
This is on.
Yes, it is. So
My name is James.
James, I would say tonight, as a matter of course, since this is a bit longer than usual, do 2 paragraphs. How's that?
Oh, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and read. I thought we
Yes.
were going to do introductions.
Oh, no. We'll get to that while you say your
Okay.
name. We'll all introduce
I'm
ourselves.
James Smith. You probably see that on credit card offers, along with John Smith.
It's a fake name, yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
So an unconscious invitation. Who would stand in front of an automobile and let it run over him just for the fun of it? Or jump off a roof and break a leg merely to take a rest cure in the hospital? It is said that 80% of all accidents are unconsciously invited. Unconsciously invited is not such an innocent term as it seems to be, because it deals with the fact that 9/10 of our thinking is not even conscious. We do not consciously think of driving our cars, walking down the street, having our food digest, or making our hearts beat.
I'm Andrea. Just as there are automatic reactions in our physical body, so there are deeper automatic reactions in our mind. Our mind is really the creative thing within us. But what has this to do with accidents? Well, let us see. It is known that when we unconsciously look forward to more trouble than pleasure from some particular incident, we unconsciously try to avoid that situation. For instance, a person starts down the street on an important mission, but perhaps he feels that it is a situation that he fears and cannot quite handle. He is not willing to admit this because then he would be calling himself a coward. And we all need self-esteem. But his subconscious reaction, without the consent of his intellect or conscious awareness, causes him to fall down and break his arm or his leg or his nose.
Hi, I'm Carrie. His emotional unconscious desire has won over his intellect. It has seen to it that he need not meet a situation in which he is unconsciously afraid. One of the axioms of Emily Couillet was that when the will and imagination are in conflict, the imagination and not the will always wins. Such is our nature. It is well known that this can be carried so far that perhaps instead of meeting with an accident, we might be seized with a physical ailment. This mind of ours is a pretty terrific thing. If it can produce 80% of our accidents, what else can it do for us? There is no question but that it governs the unconscious functioning of the body and the body of our affairs. All of these silent forces that conspire to maintain our physical well-being.
Hi, I'm Bonnie. The Bible says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so he is. And Jesus, the most enlightened of all men, said that it is done unto us as we believe. But Jesus did not explain to his followers that 90% of their behavior was unconscious. It has taken the world 2,000 years to discover this. But does this mean that we are to be afraid of the unconscious workings of our mind? Of course not, because the very fact that the mind is creative shows that we are persons in our own right. If we were not creative, we would be mental automatons, robots, and non-entities. We would not be persons at all. We would be like cogs in a wheel or bolts in a piece of machinery, and this is not what life intended for us at all. When life created us, it gave us the two great endowments of God, the two highest gifts of heaven, love and creativity. Love so that we may have confidence in life, a sense of security and peace and joy in living. Creativity so that we can really live as persons and express ourselves individually. Life is done very well by and through us. Would it be too much to say that God has given us the best God has, and then let us alone to discover ourselves?
Hi, I'm Kevin. When we are somebody, I am glad that we are. I would rather have this creative thing, God intelligence within me, even though it doesn't produce pain now and then, or break a toe or two, than to be without it. After all, it is this thing that painted all the Madonnas and built all the cathedrals. It is the thing that made all the inventions and wrote all the books. We should not be afraid of this creative thing in us, for it is the greatest gift of life.
I'm Mary Jane. God never makes mistakes, and there are no accidents in the divine life. Everything is so ordained that when we learn to make right use of the laws of life, freedom, love, beauty, happiness, and wholeness must follow, because life itself is neither weak, unhappy, nor inadequate. Excerpted from the Essential Ernest Holmes, pages 43-44.
So, unconscious invitation. I have been studying the signs of mind since 1974, my first visit to Founders Church in Los Angeles. And a couple of years ago, I taught the Essential Ernest Holmes as an 8-week class during the summer. And this was the first time I heard Ernest Holmes talk about unconscious invitation. In all I've read, all I have heard, I have never heard anyone talk about unconscious. It was like something exploded in my brain. Why don't we teach this right at the very beginning of the Science of Mind classes? Because if we did, it would make the whole study of this philosophy so much easier. When the first question, first of all, I want to point out Ernest Holmes is writing in a time frame when God was a he, you know, not mother, father God, but he, God as a male entity, if you will. And he expresses himself as male in all his teachings. I translate a lot of it to us or we, rather than he or she or whatever. So you can do that. But when he starts in the first paragraph, and he says that nobody would stand in front of an automobile and let it run over him just for the fun of it. You know, that's just kind of a silly question, or a silly comment, or who would, rather, or jump off a roof and break a leg merely to take a rest cure in the hospital. And yet, and I'm going to throw this out here, my friend Reverend Dr. Charles Geddes was talking to me for weeks on end about needing a break. The subconscious mind cannot take a joke. It doesn't care what kind of break you're looking for. Well, he was walking out of Ralph's, didn't realize that there was a step down, a curb, and he walked out into thin air because he was holding the bag in front of him like this. and he broke his femur in 4 different places. And he had a 4-month break. He sat while a friend of his took care of him, fed him, brought him his, helped him in the shower. I mean, did everything for him. And by the end of it, he said, "Dear God, don't ever let me use the word break and mean it in a different manner." So we set ourselves up sometime. So 80% of all accidents are unconsciously invited. How does that resonate? How does that resonate? Yes? No?
That's fitting.
Yes?
Yeah, I'm here for that very reason tonight.
Yes?
So I was on the top of the world just over the weekend in London. And then I got a text from Mom and my ex. A text from Mom and my ex. Now, I'm better at interpreting these now as opposed to going down a spiral, and I can stop myself more readily.
Yes.
But it does have an impact on me. And so, what did I break today? I broke a glass. I couldn't find the keys to the rental. Yeah. And so I'm just telling myself, I'll find the keys, or I'll get new keys, and glass can be cleaned up. But it's just, these things we bring on ourselves when we believe or think outside of the thinking that we would prefer,
Yeah.
the future that we envision.
Yeah.
And so this unconscious invitation, it seems no different than really, show up as you want to be in the future. Act now as though you are your future self.
There is no future. There's only
There's
now.
only now. That's true.
Yeah.
But if you have a vision for who you will be in the future, it impacts how you act now.
Yes. Yes.
I sure hear this as a alarming wake-up call. Be careful what you think and watch yourself. And it's something that I've really learned since I've been in Science of Mind, which has only been since 1998. And I find myself so much more resilient and joyful. I had an estimate from a workman today that's going to fix the whole edge of my patio is coming loose and falling down the hill. And he said to me, "You're so positive about everything." And I thought, yes, I am. It's so different because of what I've learned here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So today, as I was coming to the church, I live out in Newbury Park, and as I come down Old Canal Road, I have to cross over Wendy to get toward the on-ramp to get on the freeway. And there were 3 vehicles, one turning left, and the 2 of us going straight to the ramp. And somebody ran a red light coming from the south to the north on Wendy Drive. It was apropos a red car. I don't know why I have this thing about seeing red cars running red lights, but maybe it's just my imagination. But gratefully, I was paying attention. The car next to me was paying attention, and the one making the left turn was paying attention. And then I had this moment where I envisioned what could have happened. And my mind went to a real scary place. When my children were small, when they got in the car, first of all, we didn't turn the car on until the seatbelts were buckled. And the second thing was we had an affirmation: we travel in safety and good order. And that was, and I think they might still do it. But at that moment, I had not said that when I pulled out of the driveway of my house. But I sure said it afterwards, at least 12 times while I was getting on the freeway, because the accident didn't happen. So I think the 3 of us unconsciously didn't invite an accident into our experience. The same as the same consciousness that unconsciously invites something is the same consciousness that can unconsciously uninvite something. Think about that.
It's a matter of consciousness.
It is. It is a matter of, thank you. How brilliant of you. Carrie? No? No?
I also say an affirmation like that when I get into the car. And today it was interesting. I've had a really difficult week. Things have happened. I know I'm like stressed out and I'm just sort of dingy. And I had to drive and do an errand. And my thoughts were, I need to pay very special attention every step of the way. I was being so careful about cars. This pedestrian started to step in front of me because I was being so cautious. He was very spry, and he jumped out of the way, and I stopped. I wasn't going fast. But it really was, I was conscious that I was dangerous. I was very aware that my brain is rattled. This whole thing, though, about the accident and 80%, I broke my legs 3 years ago. I did not want that to happen. And when it happened, I was deliriously happy about where I was and what I was doing. It was such a slap in the face. I was in a really good place. I just felt like I was having so much fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I could think of a few times where I've been careless, and things happen, and I know they're probably gonna happen, like dropping a thing, like grabbing something, reaching for something, and then just dropping it right at the next moment, and you're like, I knew that was gonna happen, but you know, you unconsciously are inviting it, you know, in your head, and more often than not, it tends to happen the way you think it. So you gotta be really careful with your ideas and the state of mind that you're carrying, you know, throughout the day, and you just gotta be conscious about, you know, the negative impact of like watching the news and getting in that hypnotic rhythm of like the society, how everything is programmed in us, and how most things are just happening around us, but at the same time, just materializing your ideas. Sometimes we bring it to fruition without even knowing that we are doing so.
Yeah.
So that's all I want to say.
It's true. And you think when we know better, we do better? But, you know, I want to go back to Bonnie. There is also the idea that sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. You know, it isn't anything you consciously invited into your experience. And the recovery time for what happened, I mean, look at you. You're remarkably, I'm going to make a comment, but you're frisky. You're remarkably frisky, even after having had an experience like that. But sometimes the intention behind it is for us to become more aware of our surroundings. You know, to be aware that there's a curb there, to be aware that this car is coming so fast that I knew he was going to, or she was going to, I couldn't see if it was male or female, but that I knew she was going to run the light. And so I think unconsciously, so did the rest of the people who were there, who stopped. Nobody had to screech because it was, you know, one of those slow start outs where usually people jump the gun sometimes, even when the light has just turned green. It just went from yellow to green on the other side. And that person thought they had plenty of time, I think. But, you know, sometimes things do happen. And I think he alludes to that a little bit in this article. That
what I hang on to for my accident is when I was in the hospital, there was a wonderful nurse, There were lots of wonderful nurses. This lovely Chinese lady, and she said, what happened? She's a nurse. How did you get here? What happened? And I told her. She looked me in the eye and she said, you had bad luck. It was so Chinese. You had bad fortune.
Yeah,
And that's what I hold on to, that
Yeah.
Chinese lady.
yeah,
What came to mind when you said that is being more aware is being present. There's a lot of times we're going about our day to day and our mind is somewhere else and we're in the future, we're in the past, but we're not being present and aware of what's going on.
yes. That's exactly right.
And also being aware of the thoughts, not just what's going on around us, that we're on a flight of stairs or stepping down a curb, but what am I thinking about? And I think one of the things that struck me when you were talking about why don't we teach this in the first classes, well, we teach the law,
Yeah, we do.
and this is directly related to the law.
But
Because
when-
the law says yes to the thoughts we place into it, whether they're conscious or unconscious.
Yes.
So I was just thinking that we kind of do teach it, but not under this topic of unconscious invitation.
Right.
We teach it in a different way, and I think what Andrea said to me is so important, is just to always be vigilant with our thinking. I have a friend who says constantly, well, the problem with me is, and I'm like, no, there's no problem. There's no problem. And so we've taken to every time they say it, they put 50 cents in a jar, and then we're going to have lunch on all that money that's being put in the jar, because there really isn't a problem. See, the problem is, no, there's no problem,
Yeah.
unless you're claiming that it's a problem.
One of the teachings that I've gone through, that was one of the things. The problem is that you think you have a problem.
Right.
That's,
Yeah.
let's
That's
just
the-
start
Yeah.
there. That's the problem, that you think you have a problem.
Yes, and Holmes says it differently. Holmes says that the only consciousness that needs the only thing that needs healing is the consciousness that thinks there's something to heal. It's a different way of saying
Yeah.
what you just said.
Applies to everything. It applies to everything in our lives. And the fact is that we do operate on automatic pilot a good part of the time. You know, when we don't have to, when it's something that we've done over and over and over again, a lot of times what happens is we're not conscious of our surroundings, you know, like dropping a glass on the floor. You know, was the glass within your reach? Or, you know, you could analyze it to death, but the glass broke, period, the end, right? And you had to clean it up. And it doesn't matter that your mom called you and your ex-wife called you. It is simply something that is happening in the present moment. And the glass dropping on the floor brought you back so totally to the present moment. Sometimes we think about getting in a car, for instance. When you're first learning how to drive, everything is a thought. You know, I'm opening the car door, I'm getting in, I'm sitting in the seat, I'm putting my seatbelt on, I'm turning the key in the ignition. How many of us do that on a daily basis? Nobody here, I bet. We just get in, we know it's automatic. You go to turn a light switch on. You don't think about whether the light's going to work. It's automatic. We're on automatic pilot. So yes, Ernest Holmes wants us to understand that we can unconsciously invite good into our lives, and we can unconsciously invite not so good into our lives too. The pot stirrer.
Oh, boy, it was online, and then it went over here, and then it went over there, and now I got a salad of, wow. Okay, so, you just said something that helped me too, and then consciousness that thinks that something needs to be healed. Okay, so that's the conscious that's saying that, but there's an unconscious going on too, right? All right.
Say more.
Okay, so conscious, okay. So what I need to do is act like and affirm that I am what I seek, right? Like you were saying, you know, like I am this. That's my conscious mind telling me good things,
Okay.
right? So I know, like I read the other day, that rather than saying I am angry, say I feel angry. So it doesn't label
Identify
me,
you.
identify me. So that's consciousness that thinks something needs to be healed. Okay, consciousness that also tells me I am whole, perfect and complete. Okay. When I get in the car to go drive, I do a blessing all the time. Help me get to my destination and back safe and sound without incident. Help me drive safely, alertly, and all that. And at the same time, sometimes a flash will come when I'm at an intersection that somebody is going to smash me
Can I interrupt for
and
one
total my
quick
car.
second?
What is that?
Well, I'm just curious if instead of saying, help me get to my destination safely, to me that sounds a little bit like there's
I'm
some
coming from
doubt.
fear. Yes,
You're coming from a place of doubt.
Right.
Like something bad could happen, please help me get there
Yes.
safely.
correct.
What if you shifted that?
Yeah.
I know that I'm getting to my next
I know,
destination
yeah.
safely.
I always like that. I know. I know that I'm getting to my destination and back safely.
Does that make
It makes a world of difference. for me.
Does it?
The language
Yeah.
always does,
Okay.
yes. And I agree with you when I said it, and then I heard you back. I will change that. I can see how that's,
Just play around with that, see
yeah.
if that,
I'm coming from some fear. I can feel it.
and so it's done unto us as we believe.
Oh, yes, that one. You know, that's so great, you know.
Sorry, sorry I had to bring that up.
No, it's so funny because I was not into the Catholic religion. When I was raised in, I didn't understand the guy on the cross or any of that. It just didn't speak to me, so but I always heard things like this. It is done unto us as we believe. I've heard it over and over again. And it's like jumped out at me tonight. Yes, of course, this is what we're talking about. And it's everywhere in history and so forth. It's a gold mine of knowing the truth. But now I'm connecting it, which is really cool. Of course, I always have to bring in my emotions. I feel, you know, I'm very sensitive, so that when I get to certain situations, they don't feel safe. I just feel like, I don't know if I want to go into this room. I'm going to be uncomfortable, whatever, and I don't do it. It's usually when people are in the room. It's usually the people, you know. But, so
wait a minute. Edgar Casey says that the consciousness of one person can change the consciousness of a whole room. Maybe you're that person.
oh, I should go in as a beacon light.
Yes, a beacon of light for all the rest of the people in that room. Although I will say to you that Carolyn Mace has kind of a polar opposite position on that. She said that if you walk into a room of 100 people and you were abused as a child, you will naturally gravitate toward the other person in the room who was abused as a child.
Or abusers out there will be attracted to me.
Well, she didn't actually say that part, but I can see where that might work as
I don't
well.
know. I'm just.
Yeah.
But again, I like that though, to go in.
To be the
know.
one person that can change the consciousness of a whole room.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh, I
Instead
like
of
that.
entering the room knowing you're going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm really saying to myself.
You're already calling it out.
I'm already
Yes.
calling it out. Yeah.
So is that a place of fear, like, as well?
Well, see, it doesn't always feel like fear. It just feels like
Maybe these aren't my people.
maybe these aren't my people.
Yeah,
You know, or why should
I understand that part a whole lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes there are rooms you don't want to go in.
Absolutely.
Well, let me give you another example. On our property, I live in a 55 and over property in Chatsworth, and we have two gates. One is exit only and one is entrance. And for 2 years, I was trying to tell the management, you've got to put an exit only sign on this gate because people are trying to turn in there and there's going to be an accident. So, you know, I just feel like, no, I mean, I just sense things that no one else talks about a lot. And so she finally put a sign up, but I really felt that someone's going to get hurt badly because what they do is they can't get in, so they back up onto Topanga Canyon Boulevard.
So, see, I don't think you sign about erring on the side of caution. I think that sometimes what we have to do is get our thoughts organized. You know, it's almost formulaic in nature, you know. If I do one thing, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
If I do another thing, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
And if we realized that when we come to any given day of the week with prayed up, meditated up,
Yeah.
read up with some maybe helpful affirmations or whatever. I mean, so, you know, sometimes we have to start small.
Yeah.
But what I've learned in the science of mind is that nobody in the world wakes up in the morning and says, boy, I'm going to get Maureen today. Nobody says that. Nobody. Not one time have I ever been affected by somebody else's anger when I'm in that place of consciousness. You know, so and I'm not saying that I do this 100% of the time, but I think when we start out with positive energy, because it's not that I don't, I've talked about this before on a Wednesday night, you know, it's not that I don't like certain people. I like some people more than I like others. But most of the time when I struggle with relationships with people, it's because our energies don't mesh. And you know what? That has to be all right. You know, I probably should have listened before I married the kid's dad to that kind of thinking.
You wouldn't have the kids.
I wouldn't have to, yeah.
You wouldn't have the kids, though.
Oh, that's true. No, it was all worth it. It was all worth it for my children. But I think sometimes we take things too literally. You know, and we think we should do better. Well, guess what? It's a lesson, kind of. But we've learned all our lessons from broken legs. We've learned all our lessons from car accidents. We've learned all our lessons from bad marriages. We've learned all our... Now, how about learning our lessons consciously from a place of love? Because this same premise, unconscious invitation, has its polar opposite, conscious invitation. He doesn't go into that in a whole lot in this piece, but in the rest of the chapter, we would be sitting here all night reading the chapter.
So
Pass the microphone.
Well, that's
Yes.
I interpret it that way because it seems to me that what he's saying is that your conscious mind is informing your unconscious, right?
Yes.
But MJ had me thinking of something that I thought was interesting. So if you have a bad feeling about something, so that your body's telling you, your subconscious telling you, your conscious mind, hey, maybe we don't go in that room.
Yeah.
So I think that's fascinating. But the opposite I think is true too. If your conscious mind is telling your subconscious, no, this is not going to work out well for me, then that's something we can quickly change.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting to think about how your feelings might inform you, and maybe those rooms you don't want to go into.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where the
Trust in your intuition.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
exactly
That's where the
right,
trauma
yes.
Yeah.
So your intuition, you get on the freeway and your intuition says, wait, don't go on the 118, go down to the 101. And you don't listen to that. 3 hours later, you're stuck on the 118 because you're between Rocky Peak and the next exit, and there's no place to go, no place to turn around. I'm
gotta
just
say, Maureen,
saying,
I
I'm just
believe that
saying.
your safety protocol brings you the red cars because they're more visible.
And I agree with that wholeheartedly. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Be careful, I have a red car.
Oh,
No, anyway, this is why I'm here on these Wednesday nights, because I get such clarity. So what everybody has said has really kind of changed what I've been thinking. And it's helping a lot with this mind that goes back and forth all the time.
Yeah.
So too much lately. So I don't have anything more to say, just that I'm digesting what everything's been said.
I get it.
Really,
I get
It's
it.
really helping a lot,
I get it.
a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Provide you another example, Jake?
Wait.
So we're all works in progress, and so the work that I'm doing is interesting. So I'm looking in the mirror, and I see a spot, and my conscious mind tells my subconscious, oh, it's cancer. And I go, what? Wait, stop, no. That's not what that is. Why are you saying that? That's not what that is. And that would be a horrible invitation.
Yeah.
And happily, the negative thoughts don't manifest as readily as the positive ones.
Because there's a conscious awareness around what you're thinking. And choice is a function of awareness, right? So when you have the awareness that, oh no, I don't want to go down that road. Why do you think it's cancer? No. I'm perfect, whole, and complete. When you're aware, you make a conscious choice to have a better thought.
For sure. It's
Yeah.
getting easier. The text messages could have lasted weeks.
Yeah.
So they're
Yeah.
nearly over now.
Oh, so Kevin, you had something.
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say, sometimes you're like driving and you're like, what you said comes to mind, like I shouldn't go that route today.
Yeah.
But then you end up going another route and nothing happens.
That's exactly right.
And you're safe, and like you were like, that was just a thought, and you continue and you go on, and another thought like that comes in, and you decide whether to follow it or not, and you choose between those 2 or 3 options, and then you take one, and you go on with your life and nothing happens.
Yeah, and then we should on ourselves. I should have listened to my intuition. I should have, that stuff is just useless as far as I'm concerned. If we could have, we would have. But sometimes it's so strong that there's no way to resist the message that's coming through. And I think we could all talk about various situations where had we gone the direction that we were thinking of, not just driving, but any kind of situation, we would have had a different experience of life, and things would have been different. Okay, to look back on something like that and beat ourselves up, self-flagellation is out of our purview in this teaching. We don't beat ourselves up for making mistakes, and there's no such thing as sin, because it's an archery term that means missing the mark. And my acronym for sin is self-inflicted nonsense. Because most of the time, the things that I was told growing up Catholic that were sins, they're some of the most fun things I do in my life, So, oh, thanks. I even got a rise out of Ian back there. So I think we all need to be conscious, as you said earlier, just to start out from a place of awareness on a daily basis. And that's an affirmation in and of itself. I pay attention to my surroundings. I know what I'm doing and where I'm going, and I do so in safety and good order. I mean, you could build your own little affirmation, your own mantra. Yeah.
I'll say something real quick. just 2 hours ago, a friend of mine said said the same exact thing about sin, what it meant, and I never knew what it meant,
Yeah.
really. Today,
Yeah.
just 2 hours ago.
Oh, say, you can teach this class on the next one. Come and be the assistant here. Yes.
I actually forgot what I was going to say.
That's all right. Just think, if you think about it, let us know. No? Okay.
I think I just forgot what
It's come to, oh, you remembered? Okay, go ahead. It could actually be the infinite intelligence of the universe bringing it to your consciousness right now, but it could also be solved, whatever it is you're going to say. Okay, take it.
Absolutely. I have come to the point where when I get that intuition, when I get that still small voice, whatever somebody wants to label it as, I've gotten more sensitive to it, to the point where if it's telling me to not take my regular route, and I still go like, yeah, I'm just gonna go, I will catch myself. I'm like, nope, I'm gonna bust a U,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do what I need to, and then
Yeah.
I apologize. I'm sorry for not listening. I wanna hear you more.
Yeah, yeah.
Please
Oh,
keep
gosh.
talking to me.
That's a beautiful
That's
thing.
lovely.
That's beautiful, yeah.
I just want to say, if 9/10 of my thinking is not even conscious, what the heck is all of this going on up here?
Imagine, just imagine.
So Mary Morrissey says we have, between 60 and 75,000 thoughts a day.
Wow.
Can you imagine the stress you would be under if you listened to every one of those things that you're thinking?
So I guess that includes the
Don't
9/10.
believe everything you think. Don't, because those are the distractions. The conscious mind is not distracted. The unconscious mind is what's distracted. And you know what happens? In the end, that negative self-talk always argues for its limitations. And guess what? We get to keep them. When we argue for our limitations, they keep showing up for us in droves. So, this is about limitations. Unconscious invitation. Turn that around to consciously inviting health, wealth, wonderful relationships, money into your life. Consciously. This is telling us how not to do it, and I'm telling you how to do it.
Well, the last paragraph, he actually tells us
He
how
does
to
come
do it.
around, yeah.
He says to just make right use of the law.
Yeah.
Make right use of the laws of life, and freedom, love, beauty, happiness, and wholeness will follow. Because life itself is neither weak, unhappy, nor inadequate.
Yeah.
And if we remember that we're surrounded by a creative medium called the law, or called law, which automatically says yes to that which we place into it, we be very aware of our thoughts, knowing that the law is going to say yes, no matter what that thought is. So we can make conscious use of it or unconscious use
Yeah.
of it. It's our choice.
Yeah.
That's good. So I can have 9/10 of my thinking and conscious knowing,
Yes.
and this will get littler and littler, maybe.
So think about something that you want to shift or change in your thinking over the next little bit. Something that kind of nags at you a little bit. Anybody here? Same thing for me. There's something that I have that I know doesn't serve me any longer, the thinking that I have. See what in being aware of it, how you can change it with an affirmation that's diametrically opposed to what you're thinking, a negative thought, right? Diametrically opposed. And then wait for 3 weeks, 21 days. That's psychocybernetics. That's Maxwell Maltz wrote the most amazing book in either the late 60s or the early 70s.
What was the name?
Psychocybernetics is what it's called. Yeah, it's probably standard reading for people who are going into the field of psychology. But for 21 days, you change your thinking around something, and watch, looking back on it, not one of those things came to fruition in my life. You know, I create my own disasters, if you will. I create my own sadness. Because sadness and happiness are generated from outside influences. I can be treated badly by someone and think they're mean. There's a mean girl. There's a mean girl there. But wait a minute, did I bother to ask the person, what's going on for you? You know, why is there something that you might want to share? It had nothing to do with me. It had nothing to do with me. My mom used to say, don't wake up on the wrong side of the bed. Anybody get that growing up? Yeah. Because my mother wasn't a metaphysician, but, she knew that when you wake up crabby, it sets the tone for your whole day. So, we have the opportunity to change things. A lot of the things I didn't know were changeable. I didn't, until I started teaching this. Every time I taught Science of Mind 100, I got a new Science of Mind textbook, because I would highlight everything. And I would read it with beginner's mind. And I swear to you that the second class that I taught, the whole series 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, I thought they'd rewritten the Science of Mind textbook between that first one and the second one. I mean, it was like, I know it was silly to think like that, but I didn't see that in the first time I went through this. And you might take this home and look at it a little bit and see where, and this is one of the reasons we do handouts, is so that you can take it home and have a look at it. And you two know each other, yes? Have a good discussion around this. Talk about it. Because the more we talk about it, the more we are open to changing what we think about. Yes? Yes. Good. Well, the time passes quickly when you're all interesting.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yes, yes. Anybody have a last question about this? No? Yes? Yes.
And I'm remembering what I'm going to say.
Oh, good.
It is for me so true to have a discussion, to say out loud, to make a sentence that says what I'm thinking is so clarifying. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it's just kind of floating around here on the edge of sleep or something.
Yeah.
But when I'm required to say it out loud, it clarifies my thinking so much.
That's why Emma Curtis Hopkins said, when you do your prayer work, do it out loud.
Yes.
Don't do it silently, like going all pious and everything. But say it out loud. Speak it as though you were having a conversation with God. Thank you, Neil Donald Walsh. But the conversation with God is, sometimes even when you're angry, to dissipate the negative energy of it, go scream in a closet somewhere, get in the shower and yell a little bit, or go to the ocean and stand in the ocean and let the waves take your voice out to someplace else. It's very interesting how anger changes nothing in the physical reality. It's only a catalyst for change. So we have feelings. I feel angry has a beginning and an end. I am angry as a lifetime experience. So think about that. Pay attention. Pay attention. Ernest Holmes is cautioning us to pay attention and notice our surroundings. Most people get mugged in New York when they're not paying attention to where they're walking or who's around them. Not to be a scaredy cat, but to just be aware. Be aware of that Tesla that's roaming into my lane, and Those cars do it a lot. I'm sorry if anybody here has a Tesla, but. Pardon? I got sideswiped by a Tesla when they first came out. I'm telling you, I pay very close attention. But they have some kind of a system in them where they drive themselves until you have to right them. And that's what my son tells me anyway, so I believe him. They're not just terrible drivers, it's the car. Let's blame it on the car. All right, so would you like to close us out?
I'd be happy to.
There's a basket there if you'd like to give us a little offering for tonight. That would be nice too. Not mandatory, but we'll take whatever. We'll take whatever. So if you'll join us in consciousness, Andrea, please.
Yes. So how wonderful it is to once again turn within to that sacred space of the Most High. To once again recognize and recognize and remember that God is. God is, I am. And if that's all I ever know, I'm in good shape. God is, I am. God is, I am. And from this place of oneness, I give thanks for everything that has taken place in this evening's discussion group. How grateful I am for the opportunity to hear like-minded individuals share their experience with this idea of unconscious invitation. I'm so grateful to know that moving forward, we do so with open minds, with a sharp and keen sense of awareness to that which we are giving our attention and energy to in our consciousness. How grateful I am that we leave here with eyes wide open to that which is taking place in our consciousness, and we direct our thinking, remembering that the law of life is always saying yes to that which we place into it. I'm grateful for this opportunity to once again remember to remember. Grateful for each of us as we leave here going forward to our next destination in safety and grace. And for this, I remain thankful and grateful as I release this word to the law, which always and only says yes. So I know that it is done. I know it is so. And in agreement, we simply affirm this together by saying, and so it is. Amen.
Thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Good.
I'm not suggesting your dog. Be careful. Why?
He's a one-person dog.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can I just talk at you?